It's okay. So Yudi, I think you can hear me.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So hello everyone. Good morning. Good morning. If you are still morning. In GMT +8. I think in Malaysia, Indonesia, we are already afternoon. So good afternoon to all of us. All right. So we'll be starting our track 2 session with our speakers here. Yeah, Yudo Satrio. So shall I just pass to you, Yudi?
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right. So take the floor, Yudi. Have fun.
Okay. Well, give me a second. Okay. Hello, everyone. This time I'm trying to give like a presentation like just around Git commit because I think many people struggling with this Git commit because yeah, like yeah, Git commit looks easy, but mm, I mean, Git commit looks easy, but it's not really easy because once you see your commit in the Git log or something on Git log or maybe on Git client, you see it's messed up or something. Sometimes also confuse you, and then yeah, uh, I'm trying to explain how to make a healthy Git commit for everyday development. So introduction first. Okay, let me introduce myself. I am Yudi Satrio from Gresik, Indonesia, and I'm just another front end developer. And I'm working right now. If I'm working on ad tech industry, so yeah, it's an advertising technology, and I'm active on Twitter, and you can find me at Disatrio. I tweet in Indonesian and English and sometimes Japanese, but many of my tweet is sometimes almost shit posting. So if you don't mind to follow me, just follow me on Twitter. Maybe we can discuss after that. I'm also one behind of the LEID. LEID is an accessibility focused community in Indonesia. In the discussion group, it's not limited to technology. It's also to design and service design. The last thing is I have more actually. I'm not involved on this LEID, but now I'm just focused on it. But if you mind, you can see that I'm not only this, but okay. Disclaimer first. I implemented this to our development team, so it might not fit to your needs, but at least you have the point of view from others. Okay, what is Git? For me, Git is a communication tool to communicate to the team. Also, don't forget to count yourself in the future because, yeah, you in the future sometimes also confuse what message I wrote on this Git commit or something. Yeah. Me personally, like 5 or to 7 years ago, I just used Git to just pull, push, and commit, nothing else. I didn't know how to use it properly. I also didn't know what is branching strategy and hard to maintain conflict. But now, after time to time, I learned a lot from company who hired me. uh, I I use Git. I think is more properly, but it's not the best way. But I'm still struggling with this thing. Uh, for me, it's Git is amazing tools. Okay. The thing that I want to discuss is and explain is Git commit. Just compare myself in the past and versus now. You see, the left one is my past log Git log, and the in the right is logs Git logs from current. So first one, I'm just put like just add name, update readme, or add configuration. But which configuration I mean on that commit, but it's not quite clear. But after after that, I by years I improved myself to write a good commit message. It's better now, but maybe it's not still need improve, but it's better now than for my previous git log. Uh, yeah. Sorry. Writing title is not easy, and it also improved by time. And the more you the more you write uh, git commit message with the title, the more and the more you get better on write the title on a git commit. This is a prefix. I mean the anatomy of my my git commit today. Just actually this is not from me. This is from someone in on the internet, and just copy paste here. But this is good for you to start to write git commit with the prefix. I will explain after this, and summarize what changed in around 50 characters, because when you see this, it's more be simple if you just put it like 50 characters, because if you put more than that, it will be a very long title and it's not good, and maybe you or your coworker will be confused what is it, and what is this commit for. uh, yeah, with this the anatomy, the first line is the title, and then the the first paragraph in here is like you write everything you know, and what explain what you did on the feature you created. And the more detail git commit, the more make you happier in the future, because thanks you will be thanks to yourself, you will be thanks to yourself to work git commit this long. And you also will be get the context what this commits for. Okay. The last line in here is like it's just like what is it, the issue number. If you familiar with Jira, yeah, maybe you can refer this commit is based on which ticket, which number ticket, and which number issue. So, okay, and yeah, it's the driven development. I I created this phrase because this is not original originally from me actually. I created this phrase because I think that time I follow the GitLab workflow. I follow the GitLab workflow that it satisfied me because it's easy to track whatever you are doing on that feature or bugs or fix something. Uh, Once I create this phrase, I just realized that someone also even create plugin for this Git. Yeah, I'm not alone thinking about this. And this one is that I mentioned that in my presentation is that with the title healthy, because once you create commit message uh, uh, first, then you know what to do on that branch or commit. Yeah, and you see in this slide, the benefits of this is you know the scope, and you structure well what you want to do, and you can focus on that issue, because you will never offer for it. Personally, right now I do first commit. I do first commit message to like just text editor, and then I copy paste. I copy paste it to Git commit when when I'm finished with the uh, with the uh, with the feature. This is the technical I did, but if you want to do this on a Git level on CLI, some guy there is a link on this presentation. You can find it later. Someone created the plugin for first commit first, and like last week I tried to survey to my close friend, and they are still using last commit message, because just finish the work first, and then they create the commit message. And sometimes with this way, you will lose something, like I don't know, you will be miss some part of or details when you try this way, because like for example, you forgot what I did on this works. And for me, I did the commit first. Yeah, I write the message first before I work with the issue or tickets. Yeah, for with doing the commit message first, you should also follow the convention, or you have your own convention. The convention here is to make your your git commit more clear, because it will be more clear if you see like this. Like fit is for a new feature, fix is for bug fix, talks for change something on the documentation, and style is for the cosmetics, like missing semicolons, formatting, or something like that. And the refactor is part of refactoring something on the production code. The test is adding missing tests or something like that. And the core is you doing something, but uh, it's not change the production code. And the anatomy, sorry, the anatomy, the anatomy of this Git, I say that we have prefix here. Yes, the prefix is from this convention. But some guy, some friends of mine, uh, he he has a custom prefix based on the feature they're working on. Yeah, so it's a dynamic. You can evolve. You can evolve whatever you want, or you whatever your team wants, as long you communicate uh, anything to the team. So it will be make more clear to you and your team. Okay. Yeah. With using this convention, the integration of automated something like automated tests, automated deploy, automated whatever automated, it will be more easy to do, because your commit message is a standard, and there is a plugin to use for you to use to just like based on commit you created, and this plugin will be uh, pull the information that what what this feature want to do. Like if you try to create a new feature, and then this plugin will be uh, generate new version based on semantic version. Or if it is just bug fix, then it will be update the version based on beta or something. Uh, yeah, I think this is just a bonus. What I like to do with Git. This is not original from me. You will find a reference on on the end of the presentation. What I like to do with Git. So yeah, I like this. I like to do this at the leaderboard. When you try to Git sort log with this command, you will know who who is the who's number one of Git committing like this. You see, I'm on the last. I'm on the last. On the last position, because that time in this team, I was a project manager, so so rare to commit my code. So yeah, I'm the last one for this for leaderboard. Maybe it's just for fun. It's not for uh, monitoring someone. It's just for fun. Okay. Sorry. After leaderboard, uh, we can see what everyone's been getting up to with this snippet like this. I should add the more longer than this actually. But with this snippets, you can see what your team is doing with the commit. And yeah, like you know what the team's doing something, and you don't need to open like GNOME every time. So you just need to do this git commit, sorry, git log, and then you can see everything. And generate a change log here with one line. With this, this is just maybe the example is only one line. But if you have many change log there, and you will be get more than one line. And this line will be, you can put it, sorry, the script will be put on the changelog.md usually. This is a fun thing. Okay, you can add a Gitmoji in your Git message like this. There is a Gitmoji something like, I don't know, it is a plugin or something. I'm not sure. And the last one, sorry. Oh, I did not. Okay, this is the last one, and this is for reference. You can. I will share my presentation after this on the chat on. To get this and click this reference for more details, like gitmoji.dev here, and semantic commits. About the semantic commits I did on my everyday developments. Do you have some questions?
Yudi, I think currently we got no question, but I got some probably quick question before we just jump to our keynote session after this.
Okay.
Just to, I'm not really in development, but I do really have some sort of like those documentation things, logging things. It's pretty like a niche thing that sometimes people don't want to do. So do you have anyone who really manage those kind of situation, or probably someone who are in charge doing those documentation things like logging or stuff, for example?
Do you mean in our development team?
Yeah.
Actually, everyone has a responsibility to document everything and logging everything. So yeah, we have standard for we have standard how to create a Git commit and log everything and log everything you did on your work. And after like I said that before, like if we have a standard and follow the convention and everything, and then we can do automated build something like create the build the documentation based on our code or something like that.
Okay, we got one question. How do you manage all the draft commit messages?
Sorry, wait. How do
you can see? Yep.
Yeah. How do you manage all draft commit messages? We don't have the draft, but we just follow the anatomy. Like sometimes we only need the title. We don't need the body sometimes, but yeah, you need to log everything you did on that work, because I also sometimes when coworker asks me why you did this, and I forget why I did this, and then from that time I always log everything I know and I want to know in the future. So when coworker asks me why you did this, and then I have the answer on the Git commit.
All right. Do we have any more questions? If no, then I think is there anyway?
It's only 3 minutes, right? Okay.
Yeah. So actually, it's already been finished. Right now. So I think we can wrap up from this session. So thank you, Judy, for your presentation. So everyone, for our next session, we will be shifted to our first track number one, which is now currently running for our keynote speaker. So let's jump to the session.
See you.
See you. Hello. Yep, I think we are on the time. So, hello guys, and welcome back to our next session for Fact Two. So, we will be here today with our next presenter, Mr. Daniel. Gila, I can't. I'm having hard time to pronounce the last name. Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
So he's the I think you are the GNOME engagement team in GNOME itself,
Correct.
right? Yep.
That's right.
So he will talk on designing with GNOME engagement team. So basically, I think you'll be explaining more on how to standardize all the design, correct? From
That's right.
for Okay, so I think without further ado, I think it's best to say that I just give you the floor. Take it away.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Gages. From right now from GNOME Engagement Team. And the first things of this, I will talking about this one. These really important things. Right now, there is thing that is happening in all the world. We must to take care, really care about this. So the best thing is sometimes we are teaching people about using, operating system, Linux operating system, whatever. But we must understand that clean your gadgets and protect yourself from coronavirus and take care of our global community. It's really important to take this, understand, and obviously do it by myself, by yourself, and for the people who are good supporting this. Do the 5, how to stop COVID-19. Just wash your hands, obviously, above, face. Don't touch your face. This is really important because if we are touching our keyboard, we must really care about that, our mouse. So now we are touching with iPads, everything about touching. So we must really care about touching ourselves. The fit, the safe distance, and obviously 6, stay home. It's really important that this is for GNOME and now apply for GNOME Asia. So it's really important. And I'm going to talk about how I designed this graphics for GNOME and to understand for all the people. So it's really important that. And obviously, I'm going to talk about how I designed that. My profile, it's a kind of resume, obviously, and I start to collaborate with art in art.genome.org, creating wallpapers and display managers. We held for first seminar in migration in Linux in Calama, Chile, where I came from. In 2007, I met the GNOME Chile team in the Linux meeting. We have, for example, 2 days of Linux meeting and 1 day for GNOME Day. So I meet the GNOME Chile right now. I'm part of the GNOME Chile too, and I start to create some wallpapers to the contest for this version that 42, pardon, that 44, and design for big graphics, big exposure. Don't use it right now in WADEC, for example, and all global community too. So it's really interesting that I won the Ubuntu Free Culture Showcase too. Right now creating some, Hacker Gotchi, marketing team, created Genome Annual Report 2009. And I created some, t-shirt for Genome Store. Before that, it was, marketing. I created some GPS AIM logo. Right now it's working. I designed the Genome Voxel statics, the Ubuntu Conf, stickers and wallpapers, as you can see. There's really interesting about that to talk with the community, and give it us. I guess everyone talking about marketing. So it's really interesting that. I submitted my wallpaper for Debian release Bly. Right now I'm working for Genome Handybox. I'm going to talk about that. I will create the graphic design and videos for Genome Latam in this year. And I created for two a proposal for Genome Asia. So I'm going to talk about everything about the design, and you can see my wiki. You can find everything of file, everything of the source. You can download, you can use it. I'm going to talk about how can we get involved into the genome engagement team. Okay, so to starting. How can I be a graphic designer for GNOME? This is the release version for 1999, and we got the 2021. So we have here a very big difference about art. You know, it's not only create a graphics, it's understand the software. It's not only, I'm going to talk not only be a graphic designer, it's talking about getting to the source. I'm going to talk how can we get in source XML for SVG for the Inkscape, how can we go with geometry nodes for Blender. So we're going to talk about that. It's really interesting. And the graphic design, if we want to create some icons, we must to understand how to get involved that. So there are many hackers. I want to thank to all the people who get involved in this project. And obviously they teach you. We now, we can see at this first presentation, we got introduced about GNOME 41. It's really interesting about that, created with Blender, with Inkscape, and it's also graphics. So it's really interesting. What is the result? You know, it's really interesting about how can we part to the community. It's really interesting. It's a kind of hard work. Maybe to be a graphic designer for GNOME is a really question. What are you doing? A graphic design? What is that? All the people graphic design for Macs, for everything that, you know, but interesting right now, be part of the, for free open source software community is really interesting right now. Right now, we can see it's not only be part of the graphic designers, if you're more interested into the community. The community, obviously, as Caroline talked before, work with Caroline too to the GNOME engagement team. So I'm going to talk about some examples too. Okay, so really interesting about the first design for the version 1 and the last release. You know, we got now a GNOME OS. So it's really powerful. I want to thank to all developers too. It's a really hard work. When it's time to start the design, we start to design with GNOME Wiki. First, the wallpaper for art.gnome was for email, then start for a wiki, and now start for GitLab. So it's really interesting that. And down you can find the GitLab.gnome.org themes engagement, and you can find everything that I'm talking about. So it's really interesting to do, and I want to thank for developers. Okay, and how can I do as a graphic designer for GNOME? What can I do? It's really interesting. As I talked before, the wallpapers, I want to thanks for the people to help me about. This year was kind to old time, about 2005, and I started to create a wallpaper. So for me, it's really interesting about to know the operating system, to create some full icon themes too. So GNOME Display Manager, for example, if you want to test the GNOME Display Manager, you must go to the terminal, put it on some code and testing. The same for the icons. You go to the I'm going to talk to the folder where you can find the folder where you can test the GNOME Shell themes, the GTK 3 for themes too, the GNOME OS mockup. What is a mockup? Mockup is a preview for the operating system. Right now I'm creating some mockup for Handybox. I'm going to show you too. And how can we make our project be a part release for the operating system too? GNOME sticker, as I said before, if we go to any, right now, obviously we cannot, but if we go to any presentation for the next year, obviously we're going to give this, you know, marketing to understand how the marketing work process. And GNOME video designs too. I've been working for GNOME Latam, so creating some videos with Blender. So I want to tell you too. And how is the communication with Caroline to upload our work and to be, obviously, be part of the community. Okay, so it's really interesting that. And let's start. What tools are we going to talk about? Are we going to talk about Inkscape? I'm going to talk about Blender, GIMP, and APP Icon Preview. This is a tool that I'm using too, and I got more experience about that. There are many kinds of software what you can find. You can find Carita, you can find every kind of software. So it's not limited about it, but this tool is that I'm using and I want to talk about, okay? So the powers you can find all the Flatpak, you can install under GNOME with a problem because a lot of people use many kinds of Linux distributions. So if you got GNOME, you can install with this command. Really interesting about that. So you can go to plathub.org/GNOME/home, and you can find all these kinds of application. So really interesting about that. Okay, so let's start talking with Inkscape. Inkscape for me is a really all kinds of software, really powerful. I create a lot of stuff right now. I'm using Inkscape in 100%. Obviously, I'm learning We must to understand that we can never know everything about the software. We must learn, we must study, we must to get some bugs, our bugs, for designer. And obviously we must to understand that, sometimes apply for many designers. Maybe we can win, I can lose. We can understand that. What is our project for that? We can never lose the faith about that. Never. We can must to understand. If I lose for something. To understand. Everything's going to be good. Sometimes it could be really difficult to understand the process. But what is Inkscape? Inkscape is free and open source vector graphics. If we can talking about this SVG, scalable vector graphics. And obviously I'm going to tell about what is that. What does that mean? Obviously, in Inkscape, we can render primitive vector shapes, exemplary rectangle, ellipses, polygon, arcs, spirals, stacks, everything that you want. For example, if you see this splash screen, this is the splash screen for the version Inkscape 1.1. It's really interesting about that. The first time is a 3D design. Maybe I say, oh, that was designed with Blender. No, it's about only Inkscape. So you must understand about lighting, about texture. It's really interesting. The same for Blender. You must understand that and understand the process about that. It's really kind of hard to work the first time, but it's not difficult because we must understand, we must study, and study is the big difference because it's not going to be so easy. Obviously, we want to thank the developers, but the design is our part as a graphic designer. So we must understand the process. It's really interesting that. What is the difference SVG with another kind of software? For example, we got the same. This is the vector for GPS Amy. You can see, you can find the difference. This is one as 500 the extension. So you can see, you can create a big graphic, not only a design, for example, icons is small. No, you can create a graphics so big as this one. This one right now is used by WADEC and many kinds of GNOME events in all the world. This is created in 2008, and this is the Chilean community GNOME. It's really interesting. This is in the university for this picture is for Germán Po. This is Genome Day in Concepcion in Chile in 2008. So it's really interesting about what can you do about it. And I want to thank to all the people who get the support. It's really interesting about how can you learn from the people. I'm still right now I'm working with the Genome team, with the Genome Chilean team and Handybox. So it's really interesting about that. It's really interesting that you can design something really interesting about that. It now is part of the Genome. It's really interesting that it's really very good. You feel very good about it because it's sometimes could be really difficult about. It's not difficult. It's understand. It's got the process. It's reading. It's that part of the time. I want to thanks for all Genome to give me all the support to understand, to give me obviously the opportunity to be part of this. There are many kinds of years, and I understand that many fakes and many errors, but right now here, I'm talking about that. And obviously I got all the opportunity to continue in this. So this is, I want to thanks for all the people who give me the support, so it's really interesting. What can we do? It's really interesting when the people get involved into the community, talking about that, talking about maybe giving it some face, how can I make it? And obviously if you got any social media, for example, Twitter, whatever you want, you can do it. You can say, I got this design, the design is in this way, I got some bugs, maybe understand the software, talking with developers and understand what does that mean, so it's really interesting about that. And obviously I talking about this was my proposal. I don't want obviously, but it's really interesting. What can you do? You can edit obviously all the design. As I said before, it's not only graphic design, it's getting more. In this case is XML editor. You can go and obviously you can go into the Inkscape and edit all about source. So what does that mean, source? And for example, I'm going to talk about the licenses too. For example, in this case, it's talking about the license. What do you do with the license? You can obviously create a GPL licenses about that. You can create communes about that. I'm going to talk about that license too. It's really interesting. It's really important about and know that. And note, I mean reading. We must read. We must understand. If we have any question, obviously, we can create some graphics about that for all the people. If I'm talking about that, I'm going to create some graphics too. So it's really interesting. That it's really interesting how you can go to the source, into the source, and learn XML. I got a books right now, books about XML applications. So for me, it's really interesting reading, understand. Maybe it's not boring for me. It's not boring. It's really interesting to know, to go to the GNOME operating system and understand that. Okay, so it's not only graphic, it's be more there into the GNOME source, you know. And what is this? This is a library, SVG. This is we must understand we got two people, Mexican people who create GNOME, Federico Mena, and understand this is created for Federico Mena is creating that, and Miguel de Casa. So understand that right now we are talking with GNOME Asia. Is the powerful of GNOME. It's not only in America, it's not only in kind of parts, it's in all the world. So it's really interesting for two Mexican people. And right now we are getting into GNOME Asia. We got GNOME Africa, we got to GNOME Latam, we got to WADEC. So GNOME is in everything, every part of the world. So we must feel really proud about that. And obviously, what does that mean? Obviously, we got not only GNOME, we use it for another kind of service, operating system like KDE too. You know, it's a library to render FBG image to Cairo surface. You know, what does that mean? Render is to create an image. For example, and if we see our icons, we must understand their icons is in SVG. It's not a PNG. You know, so I'm going to tell you where you can find those icons into GNOME. How could you watch? How could you apply it? How could you use it? Who use this library? Libraries for GNOME platform inside GNOME take multiple roles. In this example, load SVG from generics for this, PDX, Pixbooth, loader instructor, and an application we use this kind of library. So load SVG icon from the desktop, create SVG thumbnail from the file manager, and load SVG without GNOME default image viewer, in this case, eyes over GNOME. So it's really interesting that you can watch into a website an SVG file and watch as a picture. It's really interesting that, and you can download it, you can use it. It's not difficult about that, but we want to think it's about Federico Mena to create that. Obviously, you can see the GitLab GNOME, interesting that, reading about that. So it's really powerful tool, okay? What is Blender? Blender is, for me, obviously, I use very Blender right now. Blender in Inkscape is my powerful tool right now. It's a Blender, it's a free open source software 3D computer graphics. For example, I can talk about many kinds of proprietary software like a 3D Studio Max, Maya, many kinds. But understand, and obviously, the evolution of Blender for me is, I want to thank for all developers for the version 2.8 right now. The 3.1 alpha is completed the interview phase, the change in 100%. So it was understand all the process new and understand what can we do. Obviously, we can not only create animation, we can create obviously print model, interactive. For example, right now I was talking with people who work with 3D reality, and 3D reality is created under Blender. So it's really interesting the powerful that we made about it. Obviously, in Amsterdam, we got the Blender conference. It's really interesting. There are known people who's talking about in this conference. I'm going to talk about that. We can obviously import from Inkscape, import from Blender, create surface, everything about that. So it's really interesting that Blender is a powerful tool, and obviously it's open source. But as I said before, open source does not mean everything could be really easy. It's understand that. It's understand. Maybe obviously we can know a little kind of software. For me, Blender is understand everything. It's hard. It's hard. but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. There are many tutorials. As I said before, if we got some tutorial, we can create tutorial with Blender, we can tutorial graphic design, so we can show to the people how can we do this. Be part of this. Be part. Not only be a graphic designer and that's it. No, we can talk to the people, talk about getting size to the community. It's really interesting about that. So for me, Blender is a really interesting tool. I'm going to show you about my works created with Blender too. Right now for Handybox, I'm creating a graphic tool. Maybe I can talking about Handybox and say, what does that mean? And I say, hey, there is a graphics to understand more the process. So it's really interesting that. I said it. Okay. This is created for Debian Bly's wallpaper puzzle. Created Inkscape and then applied, exported with Blender. So it's really easy to understand. I must be really care about when I'm using Blender to take care about the lights, texture, everything about that. You know, it's kind of learning. Maybe I don't like this texture. Maybe I can use another kinds of render. In general, for example, we use if and cycles. In my case, I use cycles. So it's really interesting about that. It's really interesting to know the perspective. Obviously, sometimes creating animations could take a lot of time. It's going to be about your hardware. You know, you must to get a really hardware to create something really interesting about that. You know, and obviously you can use it without any powerful hardware too. But maybe create a render could maybe take a long time about it. You know, for example, create an image for me is maybe taking 5 hours, maybe render a video. For example, 45 minutes taking 12 hours. So it's not very fast as we can. Obviously, because we're creating something really interesting about that. It's not really simple, you know, so apply that. And maybe talking about graphic design or video design with Blender, people say, what? I say, yes, you can, obviously you can. So I'm going to tell you more about that. This is about Jacob Steiner from the people, as I said before, who talked for Blender conference in Amsterdam, talking about that. For me, it's a really good hacker about that, working for Red Hat. And this is like you can do. This is that you can create about that. You can create from, in this case, from the red image from Inkscape and apply it into Blender. It's really interesting about that. It's really interesting. What can we do about it? It's really interesting about to know how the people get inside to this and show. And obviously, if they show, you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot. So it's really interesting to know, to be part of the community when it's open. But it's not open. I mean, the source is open about the community to talking about that. And as I said before, this is only with geometry nodes. It's not graphic design with, I'm going to create a cycle, I'm going to create that. No, it's only with procedural nodes. So when you get procedural nodes, you can create everything about that. This is really new. There is a lot of information. How can you create that? How can you create an example? You obviously can copy, obviously go to Blender and start to copy to create that. It's really interesting about. You know, this is, for me, it's really interesting to working in an open source community that you can find everything. You can find everything. The community is open. You can obviously go to my wiki, and you can find obviously all that I'm talking about. You can download it too. You can use it. You know, obviously, I'm going to show you the GitLab too, that you can find all the works that I might done. So it's really interesting to know that. It's really interesting the people who right now are working with geometry nodes. In this case, it's a simple node to understand that. It's very, very simple. And it's really good. It's really interesting that. How can we make a really work with, in this case, with Blender? As I said before, we must take care about the texture, the lights. Is really part for the render. As I said, the render is the final image. And obviously, I use cycles. as an engine rendered. So we must to take care. We must to, as I said before, always learning, learning, learning. You know. So what does that mean? As I said before, all the time learning. Because obviously, if you learn it, you can understand more the process. But it's not only for you; it's only for the all people who are getting in source inside into the community. You know, so you can create tutorials, you can create videos, and obviously try to people understand more about this process. And this process is really interesting. The final result. You know, the final result is really interesting about that. It's really interesting if you watch some Blender movies. They're really powerful. They're really professional about that, and only created with open source software. So there is a powerful about that, and obviously we must know and we must do thanks to all developers, to all the people who are getting insight into the software, and obviously apply to into GNOME. There is a lot of time. There is a lot of time. Obviously, there are multi-platforms, of course, but Blender, in my case, with GNOME, Inkscape with GNOME, finally works perfectly. GIMP. GIMP is a graphic design software, image manipulation program. Maybe a lot of people compare with Photoshop. The GIMP format is XCF. This is the last splash screen. What I'm talking about, what I told you, was I show you all the splash screen because we have many concepts about that. We have many concepts for Blender, many concepts for Inkscape, many concepts for GIMP. So if you want to design, you want to be really getting insight into, not only be a graphic designer, getting into the source, you can create, obviously you can create a splash screen. There are many splash screens you can find in Blender. You can find Blender splash screen. They are all this splash screen. At the same time, GIMP splash screen, you Google and you appear at the same time for any kind of software. You know, you got the splash screen. So it's really interesting. How can you make it? And obviously, I'm going to talk more about the not only graphic design too. I'm going to talk about the pictures too. What kind of licenses we can take about it, and what kind of website when we upload our art is restrictive about copyright. So we must understand that. So that I'm going to tell you about what kind of, in this case, website you can upload your work without be a copyright software. Without, you can only choose that you want to use. In this case, I'm going to talk, I don't use Instagram to upload my picture. I use Flickr, because in Flickr you can tell to the Flickr, I don't want my work to be a copyright. I want to be my work be Create Commons. So I'm going to tell you about that, what kind of licenses it is, and obviously understand that. What kind? This is obviously the GIMP. And it's really interesting about that. The really hard work created for image manipulation program. You know, you can obviously talk about that. You can create everything. You know, and talking about with the Inkscape too. What does that mean? Obviously, you can export of that kind of software, as kind of file. Sorry, BMP, GIF, many kind of pictures. You know, but obviously interesting right now. Blender and GIMP, you can import and export in the Inkscape file in SVG. So it's really interesting about how can you do about that, how can you get in source, how can you handle. You know, it's really interesting that what can we do, what can we share to the people. It's not only created for me, it's to share to the people, to know, to understand, to make the right now marketing is really interesting. Right now, everything right now is picture, is video, is could be really nice source. So right now, it's not losing your time. It's ways, it's giving more opportunity to the people get inside into the community. You know, so it's really interesting that obviously this is part of the long way to developers. You know, so it's a really hard work about it, that the process, and obviously the community must to grow up, must to grow up. That's why we are talking about that. You know, And the app icon preview. For example, if I create some icon, I cannot download in PNG to use the app preview. I can use it with SVG too. So I'm going to tell you about the handybox icon, how to use it, what color. It's really interesting talking about that, the color palettes. What colors are we going to use? You know? So we can download, obviously, in this page. I'm going to talk about design an icon for your app. This is for Tobias Bernard. It's really interesting to know that. It's really interesting, the process. You know, we got a standard for that. It's not created, I want to create everything I want. You can create everything, but you need to get a standard. And the standard is about create everything about the site. You know, I recommend you go to the website, understand all the process with graphics. Everything is really good. For example, it's in the sketch. Obviously, we're talking about an operating system, and we are talking about to create all the graphics, but no, we must create with a pencil, with a paper, create our ideas. This would be good. So the perspective, the size, you know, start for a template, obviously. Where can I find something? Inkscape tips, understand the software. As I said before, the icon, the GNOME icon style. Is it side? Is what? Is the front? The perspective that I want to load? The material lighting is really interesting about that. At the same as I said before, as a working as GNOME, as a working with Blender, as a working with Inkscape, we must understand that the material and lighting. The icon grid and the standard shapes, the draw, preview, and repeat, the symbolics, and export. So we must go, we must read, because as I said before, this is kind of standard that we make and create an interesting thing. So what does that mean? That mean we're going to create a standard must be applied for all the graphic, all the icons, not going to be different. This is really interesting about that. If you propose something for Caroline, as I said, Caroline, this is my graphics. Caroline say, hey, no, this is not our standard. You must create something really before to follow this standard. So it's really interesting that to know, lose your way. I'm going to create everything that I want. Yes, but follow this standard and understand what is the kind of process to create something really interesting. So this, I want to thanks to Tobias Bernard to show, obviously, and talk about this too, you know. So it's really interesting to know that process. The process is really interesting. It's really interesting. So understanding that, we can obviously work in a kind of, we want icons, create icons that we want, apply it into know, present it. It's really interesting that. It's really interesting that. Where can I find my SVG in GNOME? You know, you can find in this folder, user share icons, any kind of the folder you can download, and then go to Scalable. In Scalable, you can find all the SVG. You can find any kind of size, but if we're going to find an SVG, we're going to Scalable. There you can find an SVG. Obviously, I recommend that before, copy and paste. Don't use it in this folder. So to understand that, I don't want to make, they are made for my experience. So I'm going to modify that. No, copy and paste it, but don't use this, So copy and paste, and then you can use it with SVG, with Inkscape without problem, and understand that, and understand the process. As I talked before, as I said before, I'm talking about that. You can apply it with this. This you can use it. Oh, this is what I'm working about. You understand how to work with Inkscape is not really difficult about it, understanding that. This is what I like about to working with a free operating system, to know, to understand, and obviously to taste that we want to create. And obviously got an experience about that. The experience sometimes could be take a lot of time, maybe short time. It's going to be depend what we want to create, what we're going to get involved into the community. This drawing, this is a mock-up from Tobias Bernard too, So it's really interesting that we go, as I said before, so what we need to understand about this. As I said before, we can show in the pictures, This is a preview from the operating system. GNOME was not created under, I'm going to create that, the slides, we can move this. No, it's creating a mockup. The mockup is created with Blender and Inkscape. Created with Blender and apply the animation, how the words is going to move, everything about the operating system, how it's going to work about it, the design, and understand that. And it's not, as I said before, it's not only graphic design, it's understand the structure, the code, the source about it. Now, let's prerequisite, what can we do? The vector drawing people will be using to draw the mockup. So we can create it, the mockup, all the mockup. I'm going to show you my in this case, my GNOME app mockup is GNOME Handybox mockups, an icon library. The hand app to find a symbolic icon to use in mockup. The graphics and understand all that, so developers understand, must create something like this. Obviously, it's not going to create by yourself. It's going to create with all the teams about that. It's really interesting that it's not working no, it's all the team. As I said before, we're talking about the app mockup, the color palette. Where can I find the color palette? In this case, I'm using Inkscape. You can find the GNOME high colors. In this case, as I said before, I use Tango icons for the Tango desktop project too. So it's really interesting. Apply a kind of colors. It's not, I'm going to apply these colors. No. We must apply it into GNOME high colors. We can download too for GitLab. We can download obviously other color for Inkscape, as I said before. So this is obviously for Tobias Werner too, about create some icons and create some GNOME app mockup. So that's it. As I said before, I'm going to talk about that and create obviously my work, show my work, and obviously to be to the source, to the people get into my wiki, to GNOME, into the GitLab engagement team, and download and understand the process. It's really interesting about that. It's really interesting. The licenses art. What is the kind of licenses? For example, you want to, talking about the source, for example, the XML, obviously all the procedural notes, understand that. So we can upload our work and our work looked with the GPL license public. So it's understand that kind of process. As I said before, I use Flickr for I can create my pictures with Create Commons license. It's really interesting to know that. It's really interesting to understand what kind of licenses I'm going to apply to my work. It's really interesting to be open for the more people about it. And obviously create some software, some image. And the image, for example, when created the GNOME annual report, I must understand that all pictures must be with Create Commons. It's not a licensing, for example, copyright. I cannot use it about it. So using the Create Commons, put in the photographer number and where you can find the pictures. So it's really interesting to know that. And obviously, if you go to Flickr, there are many kinds of magazines that say, hey, Daniel, I like your picture. Can I use it? I say, yes, why not? Why not? So it's really interesting to know that the power of licensing. It's really interesting to know, to understand. What about GNOME engagement team? This is a really good team if you want to be a graphic designer for GNOME. As I said before, Caroline was talking about that. So the website about GNOME. So it's really interesting to go to the website, GNOME engagement team. In this case, it's gitlab.gnome.org/teams/engagement. And obviously, there are many coding, backwards translation, accessibility, and there is an engagement team. Obviously, you can find the source, the Blender, you can find the SVG, you can import and then a PNG and transform to a SVG file too. It's not really difficult about it. So what does that mean? Engagement team work to promote by helping our communication with users, developers, contributors, partners, and everyone who might be interested in this project. what we do, what is activity, new posts on the GNOME.org, social media, annual reports, in this case for WADEC, for annual report, release marketing, as I said before, when we start the GNOME Asia, we see a very, very nice GNOME video. So, website, friend us know, merchandise, design, t-shirt, sticker, poster, everything about designer, conference and events. So I'm going to tell you about what is my experience with that. The priorities of these years is to give our public a face, a fresh looks about it, improve onboarding process, be the voice of the community. Be the graphic of the community, really interesting to know the people. Find also entitled ways to support the community, obviously. Yeah, ensure we have a cohesive community with close bonds. So, talking about this, I'm going to talk with an examples and what are we going to do? How I get involved or request helping for engagement team. Right now we must go to the website, to, as I said before, GitLab.gnome, engagement and general, and we can find events, plans, GNOME beta tell for WADEC, GNOME Asia, event sponsorship request. For example, if we're going to get in Chile when we make the GNOME Day, we was supporting about that, create for the people, all the people who was there was with sticker, with t-shirts, inviting people from other countries to go to the Chile talking about GNOME. Really motivated. One day we said, hey, why we cannot buy some food and people don't go because it's all the day. They say, what? Well, we can drinks, juice, gas, everything, and we want some food. So people not going to go home. We create kinds of Olympics, Olympics. So it was really fun. So the people got some experience, maybe talking about that to say, oh, I can, maybe people cannot talk with the guys. It's really important. People really important hacker. No, that was totally. We got the beer with all the people into the communities and drinking beer, talking about that. This is really not difficult to be part. It's got understand that. It's understand what can we do. Social media news right now is totally powerful about that. Can create. It's really interesting about that. Engagement asset, create files and all the graphic designs. And in general, if you are seeing the general engagement board, we can use this board to our team initiative. For example, I'm going to talk about creating some video to make it a better format for GNOME. Creative by GNOME, and obviously user, our media supports to give the idea, to give the show. In this case, I'm going to create a video about that. The engagement team have these areas and these leaders. And obviously we must talk about that. In this case, social media team coordinators Carolines and the events conference, Christy, onboarding, SRE, and graphic designs, Carolines. Obviously we meet in event at GNOME.org. So we must be talking about that if we are going to create something. Okay, in this case, this is a video for GNOME Latam in this year. And really interesting about that. It's really interesting to work with this. And that's it. I was created the video, obviously. And the videos was uploaded to Caroline. Say, Caroline, this is the video. And I hope to really good receive it with that. And Caroline say, okay, Daniel, it's good, the video, excellent, but the music is not good. Obviously, show this video and you can use kind of music. And obviously, the music is great comment too. And we must understand that. We must use this. And then say, okay, Daniel, it's very good, the music, so let's work, let's render. As I said before, render a video could take a lot of time, so it's really interesting to know how can we do that really fast. And obviously, you can find the release from GNOME. This is the video for GNOME Latam. So it's really interesting your work is going to be part of GNOME. It's really interesting. It's really interesting that. And right now, what am I doing in this time as a GNOME handbook graphic designer? Handybox is an accessibility tool for that allow human-computer interaction with people who have some degree of motor disability. And talking about what does that mean? Through the Handybox, people will have the possibility to carry out elementary activities such as using internet, writing emails, sending messages. But maybe, as I said before, hey, why we cannot create a graphic to people understand in a very simple way? What does that mean? For example, create some graphics. Obviously, you can download the image, you can download up the source in this website, the GitLab.now, gitlab.org/Fabio Duran/Handybox. You can find all the work there, all the files. You can download it. You can use it, obviously. So it's really interesting about testing Handybox with the palette, with the app icon preview. It's really interesting with the Handybox. So it's really interesting way. What Handybox? Creating a video right now. Creating a video with Handybox is really interesting. So, what is Handybox? It's Handybox the way I can recognize your face of disabled user. This is when people can't use your hands. And if we are talking about working right now as a safety guy into a Cooper mine, so understand everything about the protocols. It is really interesting to know that maybe we are getting older, and obviously our abilities maybe going to disability, maybe we're going getting sick, maybe we can get an incident or an accident. So we don't think about we can use. I'm not going to use disability. No, don't think about that. Thinking about that when we can help people to use this. So recognize your webcam to your face, and you can move your mouse with your, obviously, with you move your hands. And that's why I keep talking about that. It's more important with moving of your hands. What does that mean? Is that mean I create in this case a Handybox mockup and create that video. Obviously, the K video you can download it in the website. You can download all the video about create something for Handybox mockup. So it's really interesting. What can we do about it? It's really interesting that maybe talking about this, maybe didn't understand 100%. Creating something like this on video to people understand in a really easy way. It's really interesting that to people understand what are we doing, what the people doing. It's not me, it's GNOME Handybox mockup. So it's part of the team. And obviously this is for two hackers, GNOME hackers, Alejandro Valdez and Fabio Duran, to get inside, hey, let's work with this. And I say, obviously we can. And that's it. So this is my mail, and obviously you can find me in flows.social. So if you got any question, we got a GNOME chat engagement, and obviously we are there. So if you need any help about it, just tell me. We are always to ask something and help you. So let's get in. And there is a lot of things to do, a lot of things to create that. So thank you very much, Fei Tang and She. And that's it. I'm really interested about that to be into the GNOME Asia. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, obviously.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel, for your kind of like quite bright explanation on the designing team itself. So before I'm going with my question, we have one question popping in the chat note, if you can see in the chat note also. The question is, what are some of the biggest challenges you face as a designer in the free software communities? Could you mind to share?
There are many things about that. Is learning to the kind of software what you want to use. For example, there are many changes. For example, right now, Blender creates some geometry nodes, and it's really maybe hard to understand what is kind of process. But that's it. We must learn it. We must copy and paste and try to do it. The people get to GitLab from the GNOME. Maybe you can obviously upload your work. Maybe people understand that. But learning is something really interesting. Is know how they works, how the software works about it. So as I said before, the change, for example, the version, The 2.8 from now in Blender, it was totally different. It was totally different. So it was understand all the new process. Right now I'm learning. I'm not going to never learning everything, study, applying. Obviously, you can find in my social media, apply everything about that and apply everything about that. My fix, I got this mistake and I fix it in this way. Show to the people, get motivated to all the people who try to get inside. Understand the process, and obviously you read, for example, the process, how can we create something? This is really interesting to apply because it's learning the software and then it's apply. So it is two different ways. It's two different ways. But applying, for example, if you want to create some icons and understanding all the process, we can do it. We can do it. We can be part of the GNOME. It's not difficult. Obviously there are many mistakes. Yes, there could be many mistakes. But it's understand what is the mistake and obviously get on try to the things be better. So that's it. It's learning everything. There is a Japanese phrase. I'm studying Japanese and just to give a no yoku nikatsu. It's talking about to be a perspective about that. It's not be intelligent. It's be understand the software. It's understanding, learning, to be no. The next year I hope many people from Asia to talking about art. It's not only graphic. It's not only coding. It's be more interesting about that.
Yep,
so
I agree on that. Because art is not just in graphic itself, because art is consists in probably my preference is on word art. I mean in novel or in poetry, art is in text also. So before after that we got another question here. Do you do Linux exclusively? I mean, I think what he means is, do you use do you do your graphic in Linux exclusively?
Yes.
And what kind of distro you use daily?
Okay, right now I'm working with my desktop. I'm working with Ubuntu, and my laptop I'm using Fedora, and right now I'm using the GNOME OS 2. So it's really interesting to work with that. But that's it. That's my operating system right now. For many years. Yeah, so it's really, so that is what I'm talking about, is to be part with the FLOSS, Free Linux Operating System Graphic Designer.
I'm guessing you are not locking in one specific operating system. I can say that. I mean, not operating system, but in flavor. Yeah, like I said, you are on Fedora and also Ubuntu.
Yeah, because I'm teaching Linux too as of many kind of years. I was teaching Linux, so it's understand more the operating system. It's be part, not only in, I use Fedora for many years and Ubuntu for many years too. So it's really understand the kind of software. The utility and the software are the same. So you're going to work in the same site. You can find all the source, you can find the icons, you can find everything about that. So for me, it's not really difficult about that. It's understanding more the software. So it's really interesting. So I can teach to the people too. It's not only for me. It's not only for Dana. It's for all the people. I can talk about that, and that's it. I'm working with that. Right now I'm working with GNOME OS, but it's kind of new. So I'm really stronger with Ubuntu and Fedora.
Yeah.
And the last version, obviously.
No, so, just finish it.
So that's it. So go ahead, and that's it. Be a graphic designer with Linux is not totally difficult. It's put it on your heart. Do it by your heart, and everything's going to be fine. So that's it. So I want to thank to all the people who get inside into the talking about how can you talk about in the graphic design into the GNOME engagement team. And obviously I hope to receive many kinds of questions about that.
Talking about actually back to the previous question. I just want to add some of my personal question. Yeah, because I'm not really kind of person who do graphic. I do graphic some of the time, but not all the time, and also I'm not really that creative with colors or anything. So just to probably something you can share with us for I'm talking about situation in Malaysia. For example, we have tendency to follow a certain of suite. I think you know what kind of suite I'm talking about. So to propose this new generation, or probably the current designers, to shift it from this suite to our open source kind of like you said, you can design things in Blender and then you move it to Inkscape, for example. I'm personally using Inkscape. So Inkscape is my kind of holy grail in designing. So I guess some of people are not understanding that we can do this stuff in multiple software. Unlike previously, I like in that suite. That suite is, it's called suite.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
how can you, I mean, how can you tackle this issue, and probably maybe in your on in this your engagement team, in genome engagement team, probably you can work out on something called sort of like genome design team suite, something like that.
Yeah, in this case, we use, in my personal opinion, I use the most popular application for the year. So I got the experience. As I said before, there are many applications, but also I used that before. For example, you download an Inkscape and you create an SVG. So you go to Blender and you go to import an SVG. So you got the image, the plane, obviously. Then you can create an extrude. And then you can create light, you can create texture, and you can create a render image in 3D. It's not difficult. It's try to understand. It's a really easy way for Jim too. But in my case, I created a design in this case. I created a design for Debian in Inkscape, and then applied that design for Blender. And Blender, I create the extrude, I create the light, the texture, and everything that. And they say, okay, it's good. But yeah, you can do that. So it's really interesting about how the community work about that. That people about free Linux open source software. Understand that. So the community for GIMP, Blender, and Inkscape are compatibility with SVG. So I'm really familiar with that kind of software, the kind of file. I'm sorry, because I try to understand that. I'm going to teach to the people in my website, my Twitter. I put it on all this. I do this, I do that in my website, floss.social too. So it's really interesting to know that. It's really interesting to get the experience, the experiment, to do something, and then apply to text. Oh, I do this. This is really easy. You can create that. You can create it in this way. So it's really interesting if you're going to create something like that, to know to the people, understand that. And obviously you use your social media. To social media, I create right now for everything about handybooks. I use the GitLab. So apply everything that I'm done in this way. So that's it. It's understand the more powerful operating system software in the Linux, in this case, it's Inkscape, Blender, in this case, GIMP. There are Carita too. There's Carita too that you can create graphics. It's a really interesting way. But I'm not really get experience in that, so I cannot talking about really more about Carita. So that's why I'm to select. People say, I'm going to talk about Carita, but Carita, maybe I have some question. I'm going to say, I don't know. So it's really interesting to know that. So the powerful of the community on the three software, you can work with the SVG. You can handle that work with that. So it's really interesting to work. You can see a video about SVG and Blender. They teach you. They go to the website, apply this in this way. So it's understand that. It's really easy. It's really easy. It's easy, but sometimes could be really difficult sometimes. So we must read, as I said before, we must to understand all the kinds. How can we do about it?
Yep. I agree with it. Actually, while we're talking just now, there's another question coming. So I'm not sure if the design team are related to this question, but I think the question I just read it out first. What is the scope of the proposal that the top bar be overhauled to the bottom? I think what I can change with the question is, does the design team affected on the design itself? I mean the desktop design, the general desktop design itself. Does the general team does the design team affected it?
Okay, I get that. This is how do you manage the draft committee message? No, I'm sorry. What is the
No,
scope
no,
for
no.
the proposal?
Number three. The number three.
Yeah. What is the scope to the proposal? Okay, that's it. That's it. Yeah. What is the scope of the proposal to top? Yeah. As I said before, we have 3 leaders in this case. I'm working with Caroline. So every kind of art, and we go to browse for GNOME community, is must pass to a filter with a leader. In this case, Caroline is our leader. Caroline says it's good, it's bad, we need to change that. So talking about the colors or the experience about that is really, in my case, could be really easy to understand the process, the colors, the perspectives. But sometimes some people who are getting inside into the community to graphic designers must do, as I said before, we must to read, we must to understand. So as I know before that and understand the process could be really more easy. But obviously we need and accept our work. As I said before, I create a video for GNOME Latam and they say, we must to change some music about it. Okay, that's not good. But after that, everything was fine and some changed a little stuff but yes, we must need approve some work to be part of the GNOME. It's not, do this, okay. No, we must take care about that, to take care of a good job in this case. You know, I'm not talking about a really simple way. It's talking about put it on, as I said before, put it on our heart. And maybe, as I said before, working really, for example, as I said before, you can find a very good 3D movie. But right now, not right now, as I said, the Elephant Dreams is really interesting because when the first movie for Blender, Elephant Dreams, Blender leave all the source, all the Blender source. You can download all the file, you can download everything about that. So this is really interesting because you can understand that and I understand all the process. So it's about the process, it's to be accepted and to be released. So it's this kind of work. It's not I do to create something really that. For example, the wallpapers that was really strange, different colors. So you put it on an icon in the desktop. You can say, what is it? What is it? So I understand. I really understand. So the people say, hey, do create soft for the pictures too, to create. If you want to create a contest really for any wallpapers or everything, we must to understand that. It could be really simple and understand it for the people. So this experience you can find it about that. How can we create some art? So this is a kind of process we must to understand that is really a process. And as we can see, marketing right now is really powerful, and as we can see, is take a lot of time. And obviously, you understand that it could be more easy. Obviously, it's going to be more easy. So that's it. It's understand the process.
Yep. Okay, understood. While you talk about the Elephant Dream, I still remember the first Blender movie that I watched is The Big Bug Bunny. That's my first Blender movie that I watched. Yeah. Okay. I think. Continue.
No. So as I said before, I downloaded the Elephant Dreams blend, so I understand that how the people works. Obviously, is really interesting about it.
Yep, agree. Because for me, how I mean the moment when Blender came up with the movie and they share all the I mean all the documentation, all the files, it's fascinating. And we can, I think we can start learning from the source file itself rather than starting from scratch without knowing anything.
Yeah, and as I said before, we got a YouTube channel that people share all the files. As you can see, even I got a line and I got my WeChat that you can find everything about Blender, about GNOME, about Inkscape in your language. So it's not totally about people talking about in Spanish, in English, and kind of different words. You know, you can find everything about that. You can find everything in XChat. XChat, you can find everything about that. So it's not only talking about in that you can create some. As I said before, I'm studying Japanese, so I follow a lot of people who use free software, Blender, Inkscape in Japanese. So try to understand that. Obviously, the language and understand is a powerful tool. It's not only for American people; it's for everybody in the world. It's really interesting about that. The powerful, it's totally powerful.
Agree. So I think we've already overrun our session for today. It should be you finish at 5 I mean local time 5:40 p.m., which is we already been 10 minutes over, but no worries because we'll be take a break 15 minutes after this. So thanks, Mr. Daniel. So I think because you learn Japanese, arigato gozaimasu.
Thanks.
So I think we've end our session for this track for now, but we'll be back at local time 6 p.m. So I guess let me check on UTC time, but it's local time on 6 p.m. So be right back on 6 p.m. here. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you
Daniel.
very much. Thank you very much. See you.
Yeah. Mana bang? Siapa? Kambing. Aku, aku dah cakap dah. Apa yang dah okey tu. Dia tu mujur lah aku punya session tu dia berbual je. Siapa? Oliver dah keluar. Oliver dah keluar kat track 1. Hello Oliver, are you okay there? No, 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 no. I think it's normal for some of the version. By the way, I think it's okay for you to if we move your talk to tomorrow session. Can we do that so that you can share it? We are planning to move your talk to last session tomorrow. Can we do that? No, 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 no. It's yep. So no worries, but I think that's the best. I think that's the best way because it's your. I mean, it's your. I mean, this is your flaw, but because of due to technical, we have apa ni, we cannot continue it. So no worries, we can do it another time. But don't worry. Hello, Iman. Can you hear me?
Hey, Safwan.
Okay. Iman, I think we have some 2 minutes. Do you want to continue to start or you want to wait until the start time?
Okay, Safwan.
Okay, so I think we can start it. So hello everyone. Let me. So hello everyone. So welcome back to the next session in track 2. So now I will pass this session to Iman Nurseto. He is a member of Inkscape Circle. He's also a postgraduate student from Jakarta State University in Sports Science program. And currently, I think you are administrator at YSU Sport Level 2 School and also freelance in graphic designer. Correct? Man, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Safwan.
Ah, alright. Okay. Without further ado, I think you can just take the floor and present what you're up to.
Okay, and start with my presentation. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon from Indonesia. I want to say thank you to GNOME Asia Summit 20 and 21 organizer for the chance to talk here. This is my first time to talk in GNOME Asia Summit, so maybe you will see one or two mistakes because I think it's normal to be nervous. About me, I was a Faculty of Sports Science undergraduate student in Yogyakarta State University. This is where I joined Inkscape Circle community founded by my senior. Now, I am student in Sports Science Master Program at Yogyakarta State University. Along studying in Master Program, I work as administrator at Yogyakarta State University Sport Laboratory School and freelance graphic designer. You can contact me by my email or Telegram. I will tell you how I met Inkscape for the first time. Maybe you have known this because this is mentioned in my abstract. I met Inkscape when I was in senior high school. I just learned generally from my final exam. So my main reason was just my grade. Nothing like passionate reason to be graphic designer. After the exam finished, I finished two with Inkscape. I have no attachment at the time and my goodbye was easy. After that, I continue my study as an undergraduate student in sports science faculty, Yogyakarta State University. I joined student organization and community there. Surprisingly, I met Inkscape again there. That was when I joined Inkscape Circle, an Inkscape community in Yogyakarta State University. I found that Inkscape is more interesting and cool than when I was in senior high school. I learned some practical graphic design and how to use Inkscape. It's kind of funny because I'm sports student, but I learn about graphic design and sometimes my friends and faculty employees ask for my help to make design. And this is Inkscape training by Muslim student community of sport faculty, supported by Inkscape circle community. This is first Inkscape training in my campus as far as I know. I am here as organizer because I'm joined both Muslim student community and Inkscape circle. These are photos taken at the event. The participants quiet, enthusiastic. I remember there are students from other university, other province, even lecturers join as participant. Too bad we are in pandemic now, so we cannot hold such offline event like before. These are the other photos. In this event, my role is the master of ceremony, the trainer in my senior in my faculty. And this one is in 2019, 3 years after the first Inkscape training. Here I am the speaker. I introduce Inkscape and teach them some basic feature. At the time, Inkscape even increased rapidly than before. Other faculty, other university held Inkscape training and class. And Inkscape also involved in my undergraduate thesis. I made an Android apps for my thesis. Well, I cannot code, so the word made here meaning I make the all design, produce all the content, and upload myself in Play Store, Google Play Store. For the coding part of application protection, I asked someone help to do the job. You can try Play Store too. Here, Inkscape is my best buddy to do my part. I made the design and storyboard in Inkscape. Include all the icon, button, and promotion poster. I am quite satisfied with the result and got good grade for that. Like I get the chance to continue my study in master program. I took the same field in sports science. Being there, my Inkscape journey continues. Here are some posters I have made for my campus. These are some academic online events. And these are international web series poster for event by Yogyakarta State University and Sekolah Sukan Malaysia. I am pretty glad to do the design part here. There are some poster for non-academic event. The left on in journalist event and the right on announcement for Islamic competition for kids. Sometimes I do logo design too. Even though I often design poster and seminar stuff. And this one is brochure for Sport Social Class Real Madrid Foundation, Yogyakarta State University. And these are for social media, still for Real Madrid Foundation, Yogyakarta State University. So what's the next? No, I am in the last semester in my master program. My post my plan for my postgraduate thesis is developing my gymnastic application that I made in undergraduate program. I don't know if I should call in Senam Lantai version 2 or I will come with other name. I want to add the feature and refresh the interface. The good news is my proposal for this just got approved at the proposal seminar last Tuesday. If one of you are good Android application products, maybe you can drop your contact so that I can ask your help to developing this application with the student price maybe. Okay, that's all. Thank you for your attention.
There you go, Iman Abadan, Iman, for your talk. So, is there anything you want to add before we are ending our session? Because I think there's currently no question yet. So, if anyone want to ask any question, you can just leave in share note. But while we're waiting, Iman, do you have anything to finish before we finish the session? Any last word?
No, I have enough. I have enough.
Yeah, enough. Okay. All right. So I guess there's no other question came in. So I think it's safe to say we can end this session for this set. Thank you, Iman, for your sharing session. Hopefully, we can meet on next event in probably physically or virtually. We don't know. While actually, someone just gave you question, but while while the person typing the question, so while the person is typing the question, so tomorrow we will start our first session at 4:20, 4:20 local time, which is UTC is around uh wait sorry 250, so 2:55, around 6:40 a.m. UTC. So hopefully you can join us tomorrow. And okay, Iman, we got one question. What did you do to learn skill to design that, and other than from your seniors? So can you answer this question, Iman?
Yes,
Imam?
yes,
So
Shafran.
yep. So as you can see in the question in chat note, the question is, what did you do to learn skill to design that, other than from your seniors? Can you answer that?
Okay, I will answer the question. What did you do to learn skill to design that other than from your senior? Uh, I often see banner on the highway and I imitate the design.
Okay. I think there's another question coming in. Hopefully, I think you can read it in channel. I'm still waiting for the question to finish. So, how long did you take to learn to design? That's the question. Imam.
5 years or 6?
So for here
How
or
long?
6.
5 years or 6, maybe.
Understood. So are we waiting for another question here? If no, then I think it's safe to end it here. Thanks, Imam, for your sharing session. Hopefully we meet again next year.
Yes, thank you, Shafwan.
All right.
For
So okay. All right. Well, so I think it's safe for us to end the session here. And for those who are still here, session in track 1 is still running. So let me see the session. So it's how bosses can help you contribute to GNOME, presented by Felipe Borges. So I think we can shift it to track 1, and track 2 we will edit for today. So see you tomorrow on at 3 p.m. local time and 7 a.m. On UTC time. See you tomorrow and have a good day.